Hi everyone, this is Tony, Taint the Lord A7, and this is just going to be a small little playlist of albums that I've been spinning last week. A little mix of um a little mix of thrash metal, some death metal, some deathcore, but all around just some really good extreme stuff that I've been spinning last week. So yeah, just a small little playlist of albums that I've been spinning last week. So let's go straight to it. The first album that I've been spinning last week is Destruction's Spiritual Genocide, a very, very solid thrash metal album from these German thrash metal legends. Um, this late in their career and still putting out some very, very solid thrash metal. And Spiritual Genocide is no different. This is just an amazing album from this band. So yeah, Destruction's Spiritual Genocide. Really good stuff right here. And continuing on with my thrash, it is Creator's Coma of Souls. Yeah, I don't think this album needs any introduction. If you're into some early 90s classic thrash metal from Germany, you can't go wrong with Creator's Coma of Souls. It's just a classic. And yeah, just a classic killer thrash metal album from the early 90s. So yeah, Creators Coma of Souls. Classic stuff right here. Okay, next is some death metal. And starting that off with Immolation's Here and After. A very, very, very brutal, caustic, but crushing death metal album from Immolation. Really solid stuff. Very heavy, very furious, very aggressive, and this is just some um, classic mid '90s death metal from Immolation. So yeah, I think everyone knows this album by now. So yeah, Immolation's Here and After. It's just a classic, solid mid '90s death metal album from Immolation. So yep, Here and After by Immolation. Next up is Gatecreeper. Yeah, Gatecreeper and the album Deserted. Just an awesome, heavy, brutal, HM2 sounding death metal album. Like if I didn't know that this band was from the US, I would have sworn that this band was from Sweden because they totally hit the mark with that buzzsaw HM2 guitar sound that Swedish death metal is known for. And Gatecreeper's Deserted totally sounds like it could have been like a Swedish death metal album, but nope, this band's from the US. So yeah, Gatecreeper's Deserted. Just a solid H&2 sounding death metal release from this US band. Very solid, very heavy, and very riffy. Really good stuff. Okay, now we're going to get to some deathcore. Starting off with Suicide Silence and the latest album, Remember You Must Die. When it comes to deathcore, this band and the next band that I'm going to show off are the two main deathcore bands that I really genuinely enjoy the most. And Suicide Silence, Remember You Must Die is just a killer, crushingly heavy, aggressive deathcore album. You know, very vicious and aggressive and just very heavy. And in terms of deathcore, this is definitely one of the better albums to be playing in this genre, at least to my ears. And Suicide Silence, Remember You Must Die is just an awesome deathcore album. Really good stuff. I highly recommend this album if you think deathcore is being stagnant. I definitely recommend checking this album out. This is good stuff. So Yeah, Suicide Silence, Remember You Must Die. And the last deathcore album that I've been spinning last week is Whitechapel. This is Exile. When it comes to Whitechapel, their discography tends to be hit or miss when it comes to their blend of deathcore. But I think This Is Exile by Whitechapel is one of the better deathcore albums and one of the better releases from Whitechapel. Just very heavy and just very heavy and vicious, and has a very hostile and brooding atmosphere sprinkled throughout this album. So yeah, to me, this is definitely one of the better deathcore albums in the genre, and this is definitely one of Whitechapel's better albums to my ears, at least. So yeah, Whitechapel's "This Is Exile," an excellent deathcore album from this band, and definitely one of the better albums from Whitechapel. And that's it. That's just a small recap of albums that I've been spinning last week. Hopefully, everyone enjoys it. Let me know what you think. And see you next time. Yeah, see you next time whenever that happens.